All right, testing 1, 2. I've been having a weird audio problem with the stream, so I'm seeing if I can fix that. Oh, hey, it's working. Perfect. Okay, so now we can really get going here. Let me make sure everything's looking good. Yes, yes, yes. All right, finally. I'm going to pop out the chat so that I can see it if people are saying things. Let's put it over there. Cool, cool. Perfect, perfect. I like that. Hey, thank you. Thanks for the help. I don't know what was going on there, but I think we have it under control now. All right, now I'm going to tweet for real this time. There we go. Okay. Close out of everything that I absolutely don't need. Cool. And let me bring the desktop audio up a little bit. Thank you. Yes, I think we got the audio problems figured out. So now I can actually get to work here. So this is an experimental film that my friend Ben and I made. We shot a bunch of macro footage earlier this month, and I've been piecing it together, and I have a rough cut that's about an hour long. It'll be about an hour long when it's finished. So I'm just kind of going through and polishing up segments of it, adding some warp stabilizer, doing some color, just some various things that need to be done, taking out some shots that aren't as good and replacing them with some other new footage pickups that we shot. I need some kind of low tone in the background here. I'm going to open up my, I have an Artlist subscription that has sound effects and some atmosphere and things like that. Open that up and see if I can find Arnav. Hello, Jollies. Arnav says, how do you approach editing? Like, for example, do you just have a basic cut and then start adding all the extra effects, or the other way around? It depends on what I'm working on. Generally for, you know, narrative editing or feature editing or something like that, the workflow would be to make a basic cut, kind of what you're talking about, before you start adding effects and color and things like that. Generally, editors will work to achieve what they call picture lock, where all the cuts are locked in place. You're not going to change where a cut is before you start doing effects, because if you're sending things off to somebody else for sound design or VFX or anything like that, and then you change, you know, the length of this shot or something, they would have to redo that, and you'd have to send it to them again, and they'd have to send it back, and stuff like that. So you generally want to like get a cut, lock it in before you start doing that kind of stuff. But if I'm working on something where I'm just doing some color myself, or I'm doing some VFX myself and that kind of thing, then it just all gets mixed in together. If I know, you know, I'm basically the only one doing all the editing, it's still a good idea often to try to focus on just getting like a cut locked before you spend too much time sort of adding in these other things. But for me, I find that it helps me feel out the structure sometimes if I have some of those other things in place. So hopefully that kind of answers your question. Alrighty, let's go to sound effects. Atmosphere. Yeah, this will work for what I need. Grab that, download it really quickly. Add it to my sound effects folder. Dennis says, nice mustache. Thank you. Mustaches are back, man. Mustaches are back. For better or for worse. This might be a period of my life that I look back on and regret. Like, oh, cringe, that time when I had a mustache. But I kind of like it. Alright, I want this atmospheric sound to sit very low in the mix. But to just kind of be... There we go. Alright, I think I want to actually promote this stream to make a post on my main YouTube. Maybe get a few more people in here. Let's see. How's everybody doing? Thanks for stopping by. If you're here, appreciate it. Let's see. thanks. Thank you for not thinking my mustache is cringe. I do appreciate that. I don't think it's cringe either. It's just one of those things that's very much like a fad. So like, it's cool now, but maybe in like 5 years I'll look back on this time and feel differently. Or I'll still think it's cool, but like, the young people will think it's cringe. Alrighty. Sorry, I'm having to log into my... What is going on? Logging into my main YouTube account so that I can create a post, which will have a link to this. Well, thank you. I'm glad I have certified young person approved mustache. Live streaming. All right. Posted. Okay, now I can get back to the real business here. Let's see. So the story behind this this experimental film was my friend Ben set a goal at the beginning of the year to make a feature film this year. And sorry if you can hear my upstairs neighbors pounding on the floor. And he made a lot of progress on a film, but the project got much bigger, and it's going to take more time than just this year. The main project he was working on. So he called me up, or I called him, I think, earlier this month. And we were talking, he had just watched a documentary called Koyaanisqanti, which is a very cool documentary series that I recommend to everyone. Or it's not a series, there's a trilogy of films made by Gregory Reggio. And I'm a big fan of it, and I've been talking to him about it for a while, and he watched it and was very inspired. And we were like, hey, we should, for reference, the documentary is like, there's no dialogue. It's just, there's no dialogue in the film. It's just footage of landscape, cities, all kinds of nature, people going through transportation, factories, and it kind of creates this story with just music. Philip Glass did a score for it. It's very good. I'm talking about the documentary, Koyaanisqanti. And so we were like, what if we tried to shoot something along those lines, not as ambitious as Koyaanisqanti, obviously, because it took like 2 years to shoot and we only have 3 days. But let's just try to shoot something. And so we did. We got together, and we had like 2 days, and we were like, let's just start shooting, and we'll just make something for fun. And we had no idea what we were going to do. We went out and drove around and shot some stuff in nature. We shot some of this stuff back here at the beginning. We started with this, shooting some of this stuff. And then we wanted to mess around with some macro photography, videography, which we did. And then we kind of had this idea for this vague plot, if you can even call it that. And yeah, then we spent like 2 days just shooting macro videography, and that's what I'm editing together now into this kind of wild little experimental piece that is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I kind of enjoy it, and I think it'll be fun for some people to watch if you're into weird experimental stuff. So it's an experimental film in a very literal sense, in that we made it as an experiment. And we'll put it out eventually, but mostly just doing it for fun to kind of complete the goal of having made some kind of feature film this year. I think I want a very subtle zoom on this shot to add a little bit more dynamic. That'll be good. And did I color this already? I really like that brownishness. So to answer, if you didn't catch the answer to that, it is not a commission project. It's just a for fun project. Baraka, yes, Baraka is also great. Yes. Yeah, I think I'm more of a fan ultimately of Baraka and Samsara, especially, which was also made by Ron Frick. I think they tell a story a little bit more. I think what I love about Koyana Scanti is the score, especially. Philip Glass's score is amazing. All right, let me try to get to, there's a couple sections here where I really need to go through and pull out some shots that were like too shaky or had some other issues. Oh, that one needs some warp stabilizer. Warp stabilizer is an incredibly powerful and useful tool, but you have to be very careful with it. Sometimes you can actually see warp stabilizer in like professional productions, like TV shows and stuff, and it creates this like weird wobbly effect if it's not used properly, and that really bothers me. I'm not a fan. Did it stabilize? Unless it... No, it did not. Yeah, it'll take like several minutes. See if we can add some contrast to this shot. Yeah. Have I read Watchmen? I have not read Watchmen. I saw the HBO miniseries that came out this year, but I have not read it. I've read very few graphic novels or comics, to be honest. I've read some of The Walking Dead. I think I read The Killing Joke. There's I don't think I have it in here, but there's a graphic novel that is a guy's thesis called Unflattening that I'm a huge fan of. It's kind of like a essay about perspective and graphic novels as a medium, as a graphic novel, which is really cool. Drop some warp stabilizer on this sucker too. Can I make that dark? It's not showing up. I want this dark bit here to get a little bit more black. But now that, there we go. One second, I'll be right back. All right, I found it. This is the graphic novel I was talking about, Unflattening by Nick Sousanis. make the music for this. No, I did not. Most of the music for this is coming from Artlist. I would have liked to get like a custom score for it, but we're trying to do it quickly. It's pretty short notice, and so there's not a lot of time for somebody to work on something, and that also costs money, and we just don't have. It's a kind of just a fun experimental project, so we just don't have a lot of budget. I already spent money getting a score done for another short film. Well, not another one, for a short film I made. So I couldn't really justify dropping more moolah on another score this year anyway. It looks very gritty. What if I shift the temperature? There we go. The short film is not out yet. I've submitted it to some festivals, so I have to wait. I can't publish it until after I find out if it's accepted into some of those festivals. So just kind of a waiting game there. But I'll put it out on the internet for people to watch eventually. So if you follow me on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, I'll eventually have it somewhere where people can watch. Dylan says, your videos play a role with me going into film. Thank you. You're so welcome. I'm glad if I can inspire anyone to explore this field creatively. That's makes me very happy. A big part of why I got interested in film in the first place was like behind the scenes special features on like Blu-rays and DVDs and things like that. And I feel like because so much stuff is streaming, not a lot of people see that anymore. Like most kids are probably watching movies on Netflix, or teenagers are watching movies on Netflix and stuff like that. And so you don't see as much behind the scenes content. And, but I think some of the stuff like what I'm doing and other people are doing on YouTube, they don't really replace it because it's kind of different, but I think it serves a similar purpose of hopefully exciting people, getting people interested in the process. So that's always great to hear. How do I make this darker? This section of this scene, quote unquote, is like the nighttime scene. Oh, there we go. Wait, no. I have the color inverted, so playing with the curve is very weird and tricky. All right, I have a few spots I need to fill in this section. So I need to figure out, most of the stuff we shot is very kind of light and airy. So to make the darker stuff, I have to kind of invert colors and layers. What did I think of Mank? So here's my Mank review. I thought it was very well directed. I mean, David Fincher is kind of an immaculate director. I have no complaints about the performances, no complaints about the editing, the way he moves the camera, all this, the way he composes scenes, all this stuff is great. But I didn't feel like I really got the movie that well, like the significance of the story. I mean, I've seen Citizen Kane. I didn't really know much of the drama. But I didn't feel like I got why it was a significant story to tell completely, I guess, is one way I could say it. That's not to say it's illegitimate. It just didn't connect with me or resonate with me, for whatever reason. I do want to watch it again, but at least just on a first watch, it just didn't stick. It didn't strike me or resonate with me in any kind of way. So, what did you think of Mank? Yeah, I agree about the passion project thing. I think it was interesting to see Fincher do something that felt like a little not out of character, but pretty different from some of the other things he's done. Like it's a pretty big departure from like what Gone Girl is, I think. So that's cool. I like to see, a director do something different. One of the things I didn't quite like was he's obviously going to great lengths to Fincher was obviously going to great lengths in Mank to kind of emulate the studio era sort of look. Like he's adding in all kinds of things, including the little like reel change markers and stuff like that. The little dots in the screen that mark when you would change the reel if it was shot on film. But then he shot it on digital and it looks digital. Like it's in black and white, but it looks digital, and it's like, I don't know that he would have had to shoot it on film, but I don't know. It just felt like a weird dissonance to me. Ricky asks, what is my favorite, who is my favorite director? That's a tough question right now because like 1 or 2 years ago, I would have said Wes Anderson, and I still really like Wes Anderson. He didn't do anything to like stop being my favorite director. But there's some other directors recently who have made films that have impacted me more than I think Anderson's film has. John's here. He says he should probably watch this Mank. It's there's so few things that came out this year, so what can I say? It's worth watching. I would recommend First Cow over Mank, though. I don't know if John would prefer First Cow, but I liked First Cow a lot more. So favorite director. So yeah, there's a number of other directors who have kind of, I think, had made films that have had more of an impact on me. Those would be uh, like Ingmar Bergman, um, Scorsese, and then uh, some of Werner Herzog. I feel like I need to watch more Bergman and more Herzog, but and also Terrence Malick. I have a love-hate relationship with Terrence Malick. I don't love everything that he's done, but A Hidden Life was one of my favorite films from last year and is maybe one of my favorite films of all time. So, yeah. Uh, I don't know. Those directors are kind of in competition, I would say, for being my favorite director right now. I've also really, I'm a huge fan of Joanna Hogg's work. Her The Souvenir came out last year, and I really liked it. She, I don't think she's made her best films yet. I'm really excited about what she's going to do in the future, and her films are kind of, they don't get a lot of attention, but I really like her style. Uh, has been kind of influential on me. And now I loved First Cow so much this year. I want to go back and watch more of Kelly Reichardt. I haven't really seen many of her other films. Yeah, I love PTA. I've seen all his films. But he doesn't quite. I don't know. He doesn't quite land in that favorite for me. Gerwig, I like. I've liked everything that Gerwig has done. Um, but yeah, she wouldn't. I mean, for me, when I'm talking about favorite director, the aspects of filmmaking to me that really excite me in a director is are someone who's doing something really interesting with like the medium or the style. So, um, like Joanna Hogg is doing something really interesting with her style. Like she has a really unique voice. Um, and I like that a lot. Or uh, someone who is just making films where the subject matter like resonates with me really deeply. And that would be someone like, I mean, Bergman would hit both of those, but Terrence Malick uh, has done that for me a little bit. Um, I haven't watched much Fukunaga. I love his season of True Detective. I need to watch more of his work. Jared says, "Have I seen Sounds of Metal?" No, but it's very high on my list. I want to watch that um, ASAP. What is my favorite film that doesn't? So this is Sarah is asking, what is my favorite film that doesn't imply an analysis and where you can just turn off your brain? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by doesn't imply an analysis, but um, excuse me. Um, there are certain films that I don't. Some of my favorite films, like Moonrise Kingdom, A Hidden Life, uh, The Hustler is a favorite film of mine. Um, are films that I haven't really analyzed or talked about because I love them and I don't. They're almost nothing's beyond analysis, but like there's it's 50% like I don't want to analyze it too much because I feel like it would I just enjoy the film. Like I can just watch it and I'm so immersed in it that I don't really think about the filmmaking that much. So it's harder for me to analyze it in that respect. And then the other aspect is like something like The Hustler. This is a film that I really love, but I don't know that I really understand it almost. Like that's part of what I think I love about it is that it resonates with me somehow, but I don't actually feel like I understand why it's doing that. Um, and so, yeah, some of my favorite stuff, I find it harder to analyze. Like, a good example of that is I made so many Parasite videos um, from last year or this year. But Parasite wasn't necessarily my favorite film from last year. I mean, it was obviously very up there. But like A Hidden Life, I think I would probably say is my favorite film from last year, but I haven't talked about that at all. Um, because I think what I love about A Hidden Life is much less about the filmmaking and much more about the subject matter and sort of the emotional content, which is more subjective and harder to analyze. Um, so that maybe that answers your question, Sarah. Um, John, before the credits, says, I want to watch more Bergman. I have Persona on Criterion. Yes. If you haven't watched Persona yet, Persona is good, but some of his other stuff is a lot more accessible. So if you watch Persona and don't quite get it or like it, don't stop there because he's made a very different films. Sound of Metal was awesome. One of my favorites from this year. Have you seen Black Bear? I have not seen Black Bear. That's also on my list. I have a big list right now of stuff that I want to catch up on from the year. Yeah, I'm looking forward to The Souvenir Part 2. What's a movie generally loved but in your opinion is bad or just all right? The Shining. John might get on me for this, but I watched The Shining and I didn't love it that much. And I'm not a huge horror fan in the first place, so that's kind of part of the problem. But I didn't love it that much, and I remember rating it kind of low on my Letterboxd or something. And then time wore on, and I felt like maybe I wasn't being fair to it because it's Kubrick. All these people love it, and that kind of stuff. And then I've started reading Pauline Kael, and she's salty and hates a bunch of stuff. But I read her review of The Shining, and she just like really tore it a new one. And then I felt maybe I was a little bit more justified in my dislike. I shouldn't say dislike. I don't know. It doesn't do for me what it seems to do for a lot of people. It's obviously very well crafted. It just, I don't know. It's not actually that spooky to me, I think I don't know, it's weird. I don't get spooked very easily by horror, and then I kind of feel like what's the point? Of a horror film if it's not like spooky. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, very good. Is very good, yes. I think it's definitely as well made as A Hidden Life. I think I favor A Hidden Life just because it's more like personally relevant to me. So I wouldn't like class one over the other in terms of like quality of filmmaking, but I think part of like what makes a film a favorite is just a very subjective quality. But yeah, it's an amazing film. I really need to watch that again. The way composition and camera is used for like emotional effect in that film is amazing. That shot of them like from the portrait where they're like lined up, incredible. Odd Singh said Villeneuve. I always butcher his name. I need to really figure out how to what the proper way to pronounce it is. But yes, definitely a fan of Denny. Dune was maybe my most anticipated film for this year. And I'm sad that it got pushed back, but what can you do, you know? Blade Runner 2049 is probably my favorite science fiction film of all time. So I think everyone's hype for Dune is probably a little bit too high. I'm a little nervous it won't live up to the hype. But Denny himself is like massively hyping it. He keeps saying it's the best film he's ever made. So if it's overhyped, it's his own fault. I'm not having luck. It is a great cast. I am not having luck creating the shots I'm trying to create here. Maybe I can do something with this. Yeah, that's something. That's interesting. I feel like especially where am I going? Especially if I can layer it with something. All right, John, thanks for stopping by. Go put back together your dryer. You taking apart a clothes dryer? Good luck with that. That sounds like a pretty intense project. People were very split over the Dune trailer, and from everyone I talked to, it seemed like if you have read the book, everyone I know who has read the book was excited by the trailer, and everyone I know who has not read the book, it was like, what is all the fuss about? So I don't know if that is the case for you, Ethan. My theory is that the people who read the book saw the trailer and they were like, oh, this is going to like, this does a pretty good job of hitting on some of the points that the book does. Sarah says, you say the end of Villeneuve like you were to say ooh. So I think I said it right there. And then the V. Villeneuve. Villeneuve? Hold on. How to if I can hear it. Villeneuve. Villeneuve?
We are looking at how to pronounce the name of French-Canadian film director, writer and producer. He is the 4-time recipient of the Canadian Screen Award for Best Direction. We are looking at how to pronounce with the typical French-Canadian or French pronunciation, Denis Villeneuve. Do not pronounce the S to Denis, it is silent.
Denis Villeneuve? Probably still butchering it.
Do not pronounce Villeneuve.
Villeneuve. Villeneuve? We're getting closer, I think. Let me just open up my selects timelines here. Day 3 selects, day 2 selects. I need something. Ooh, maybe I can put some smoke on it. Let's see, where's my smoke footage? Smoke, smoke, smoke. This project has been pretty disorganized because it's been very last minute and yeah, I just haven't had that much time to work on it, and so I haven't had that much time to stay organized. There we go. Let's see what that looks like inverted. Haven't read the book. I agree that an adaptation should stand on its own. I just think that like the people who have read the book are seeing clues in the trailer to potentially how good of an adaptation it's going to be, but I don't think it was necessarily a good trailer. I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think the film will stand on its own. I just think that the trailer does not communicate that well. I don't know if that makes any sense. Timothée Chalamet doesn't do much for me as a performer either. Are there any popular or acclaimed actors that you struggle to really personally engage with emotionally? Not to bash Tenet more than I already have on my channel, but a lot of people say that David Washington is charismatic, and I don't really get that vibe for some reason from him. That's the most recent example I can think of, but there's definitely actors. It's rare across the board that I'll just dislike their work though. Like usually it'll be a specific like film or performance that I think that I don't really understand. Like I've felt that way with Tom Hanks sometimes. I think people think like everything Tom Hanks does is amazing, but there's stuff I've watched from him where I'm just like I don't really get it. But then he's incredible in some things. I really hope the Warner Brothers thing does not lead to problems. I feel like there's a chance it could, but trying to predict what's going to happen with theaters and the theater industry right now is just yeah, almost impossible, I think. Nobody really knows what's going to happen, and that's kind of, obviously scary for people who are working in the industry. I think, streaming releases alongside theatrical releases is kind of inevitable, possibly. I think coronavirus probably just sped that up, but I think the way Warner Brothers went about making that decision and announcing it without kind of taking any of the directors into account was not good. All right, I need one more clip to fill in this nighttime section here. I have these two like bright white clips in the middle of the nighttime section. Somehow it works though, I think, in my opinion. Maybe I should make these a little bit darker. That doesn't really work. Too contrasty then. Yeah, too grainy. What happens if I make this really dark? Curves, grab the curves. Yeah, that works. That'll work. Oh. I can't have that in there. Going to see if we... Oh, shoot. So the usable portion of this is not very long. Can I use more of this? I really like this clip. Sarah says, did you participate in any film festivals? I was at a film festival 2 years ago, or the Orlando Film Festival. I have a short film that's in submission to some festivals for next year, so I might go to some next year if it gets into any. But I haven't gone as press or anything like that. I was thinking about trying to do that this year, but then with COVID and everything, I just didn't even bother trying. MK says, do you use Resolve for a final grade or stick with Lumetri and Premiere? I don't do much color grading usually. I'm actually mildly red-green colorblind, which makes color grading really difficult for me. So if I work with someone else, we'll use whatever they use. It's lucky for me because for my YouTube channel, I don't really have to color grade anything because I'm just using footage that's already graded. And for something like this, my color blindness doesn't really matter because I am I'm not matching footage or making things look realistic. It just needs to look interesting. Yeah, I also thought Washington was much better in BlacKkKlansman. I thought he was great in that. I think part of the problem with his in Tenet is he just wasn't given much to work with, and I think I'm getting a lot of flack in the comments for dogging on that annihilation line in Tenet, which people are saying was a joke, which I agree with. I think, and I probably should have found a better example of like bad exposition, but like it doesn't come across as a joke because I think Nolan is trying to be really like dry and snarky, and for some reason, yeah, it's just not working for me in Tenet. But so it's not necessarily Washington's fault, I think.
Hello.
So yeah, for Ochaaki, apologies for if I'm butchering that. I like to at least try saying people's names, so sorry if I offend anyone with my terrible pronunciations, but it's hard when you don't even necessarily know. Yeah, I'm just bad at pronunciation in general. So, but thank you for the kind words. I need this transition to be quite a bit longer. Why won't it get longer though? I think what I was saying though is to MK, like if I do any color grading, I will just do it in Premiere with the Lumetri stuff. I could take it into Resolve, but because I don't do a lot of color grading, I just haven't taken the time to learn Resolve. So I'm not very good at it. Boy, this transition is giving me a lot of trouble. There we go. clip on this. I actually have this clip in here twice. Bingo. No, actually I wanted to... Yeah, there we go. All right. Okay, so I just need to watch a section here now. Oh, not that section. Yeah. Ethan says, do you have any favorite filmmakers specific to the experimental genre, if you can call it a genre? Yeah. It's a genre I want to spend some more time exploring, actually. I haven't spent a lot of time in it. There's a film called Sleep Has Her House that was made by, I think, Scott Talbot. Let me make sure Sleep Has Her House. Scott Barley, a British experimental filmmaker. That was kind of a influence on this. But then other than that, just some of the more experimental, if you can call it that, documentary genres. So I mean, the truly experimental stuff, I haven't watched that much, but I've been very influenced by, filmmakers that dip their toes into the experimental world or the avant-garde side of things. So like, a lot of the things that would have influenced what I'm working on here would be like some of Terrence Malick's sequence in Tree of Life, or some of the stuff that David Lynch does in like Twin Peaks: The Return, or aspects of what Ron Frick or Gregory Reggio are doing in their documentaries. But I don't know if you would call any of those films experimental per se, but they apply some experimental or more avant-garde techniques to filmmaking. So yeah, that would be how I've been the way I've been influenced by that, I believe. But Mubi is a great way to find some of those films. Part of the problem is like not a lot of people talk about them, so yeah, the Tree of Life sequence is definitely I love the like sort of cosmic otherworldly stuff that's done in that. Not a lot of people talk about experimental filmmaking. It doesn't get a lot of like press or discussion, so it can be hard to find stuff. And I mean, a lot of people just don't like it. Like Sleep Has Her House is not a very accessible film to watch. But I enjoyed it. Let's see. I was going to look something up, I thought, but I'm forgetting. It'll come back to me. Oh, on Mubi. Yes, that's what I was going to look up. Mubi. There was a short film that I watched. I don't think it's on there anymore. There was a short film called, looking through my Mubi history, From Its Mouth Came a River of High-End Residential Appliances. This was a short film directed by Wang Shu in 2018. From Its Mouth Came a River of High-End Residential Appliances. That's the short film. And that was influential on the short film I made this past year. The fun thing about this project is you would never know that this is a potato with glue on it. Yeah, you just would never guess that. One of the things we plan to do if we put this film out, or when we put this film out, is do like a audio commentary where we talk about what each thing was. Some of the stuff is pretty obscure. Calm down, calm down. It's time for a graphics card update. Maybe that needs to get like flipped around or something. Honestly, it doesn't make a difference. Sorry, I'm streaming was probably literally the most boring part of this editing process, which is just me slapping some warp stabilizer on these clips. Wait, is Beanpole actually on Mubi right now? That would be great. I've been wanting to watch that. I think you're right. Beanpole. Wait, did I just see Holy Mountain? Wait, are they putting Holy Mountain on here? Oh no, they're just doing a El Topo. There's a 4K re-release of it is on Mubi in the US. I'm not sure if it's an exclusive here, but yeah, it is available, so I'm definitely going to check that out. GS, yes, this thing, if you watch, actually like sit down and watch it, the full hour, it is quite like, you almost get put into like a weird trance. There's like a movement. I don't know if you'd call it a genre, but there's a movement in sort of experimental filmmaking called like slow cinema or like meditative cinema, and I feel like parts of this film kind of fits into that category in some ways. I mean, it's definitely like slow, except for here, I'll show you the least slow part. There's kind of a, it gets a little, hopefully nobody in this chat has epilepsy. This is an epilepsy warning. So yeah, it gets more intense in places, but a lot of it is just very sort of peaceful and EQ these droplets so that they sound different from each other. This one, not that much cut off. And I think I need to grab another sound effect there. Come on. Space divers, underwater impact. Oh, I need to search. There we go. Artlist is, if you do this kind of stuff, Artlist is a great resource for sound effects and music. Their selection isn't always the biggest, but it's really great to have on hand to grab stuff quickly and easily. I like that sound. I'll use that somewhere. Make sure I'm dropping them into the right folder. Wait, did I get the right thing? There we go. I'll be right back. I'm back. All right. So I want to replace one of these sounds. Oh, that's not quite right. the little dash VQ in there. Make it sound a little bit more muffled. I don't know, that's not quite looking right. Excuse me if you can hear my stomach growling, it keeps rumbling. Do you think Tenet and Mano, I'm assuming you mean Mank, will inevitably end up sweeping the Oscars because of their big name directors? It's hard to predict what's going to happen at the Oscars this year. I mean, I think they're definitely going to get a lot of nominations, I think, because yeah, there's just kind of slim pickings in terms of big name directors, but I don't know if they'll actually sweep in terms of wins. Oh wait, that I can't put beside this other clip. That doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. There we go. I need to give that next track a little bit more time before it comes in. Maybe I can use this clip. Hello, Deadpool Gamer 7. I don't know what that means. No, don't. Yeah, there we go. Hi, Prem. Welcome. Just editing an experimental film I shot earlier this year with my friend Ben. This needs a Lumetri color. So does this. Copy the one from this and paste it. If you're watching this, please don't try to learn any lessons about workflow or getting a phone call. I'll have to answer that a little later. Workflow or organization, because this project is not organized. I'm doing it in a very haphazard sort of way. My favorite animated film, maybe Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's my favorite that I've seen recently. It's just like the animation style is incredible and it looks amazing. And it's a really fun film. There's certain like Disney classics that are very nostalgic for me, like the 101 Dalmatians. The Lego Movie is really good. I need to look at this new footage. See, I think there's probably some interesting stuff in here. Ooh, that's cool. I think I can probably use that. That's interesting. Very interesting texture. All right, folks, I think I got to wrap this up for now. Before I do any more, I kind of filled in the gaps that I needed to. So I'm going to make an export of this and watch it. Let some of these warp stabilizers finish. And then come back and do some of the other things that I need to do later today. Switching all these to position stabilize. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this stream up for now. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. I might do this. I'm going to be doing these kinds of streams more. So if you're interested, subscribe to this channel. Maybe hit the bells or whatever. And yeah, I'm going to be streaming more. Oh, we just got a bunch of new viewers, so maybe I shouldn't end it. Oh well, I need to take care of some things, I think, so it's probably better that I do. I don't know. What do we do? You want to watch it with me? I'll show you the beginning.